we're going to talk about real quick. Not that. We're going to talk about real quick our Mystery Pool subscription service. So, Two Fat Guys Pool List Mystery Pool, a monthly comic book subscription sponsored by Collected Comic and Games and Brainy Comics, our good friend Ron, where we do get our comics from. This is a partnership that we have developed with them, with Ron and the shop and Brent. It's a, if you want to get comics in the mail, you want exclusive comics and a chance to win a key, this is the service for you. There's a bunch of these. There's not a bunch of these, but there's a couple of these out. And we decided, I think it'd be a good idea to partner with Ron because we give him our business. And I was like, man, this would be a great idea to just, put this out there. So what it is you pay $35 a month and you get at least 1 to possibly 2 store exclusives, which we'll announce. And I think this week's is Venom 32, I believe. And then you get 4 to 7 back issues, ranging from anywhere between bronze, silver, and modern age books. And then you do get a chance to win a pretty decent sized modern key, or not a modern key. This week it's a modern key, but or this month. But we announced that last week. It's Venom number 9, first appearance of Dylan Brock. And if we get to 50 subscribers, Ron's going to be giving away Venom number 3, which is the first appearance of Null, which we're really dealing with that right now in our King and Black issues. So that is Two Fat Guys Pool List Mystery Pool. It's available now on brainycomics.com. You can sign up for it, and I think you got to sign up by the end of February in order to get a chance to win the first appearance of Dylan Brock, Venom number 9 key. So, all right. Yeah. I'm going the wrong way. So we're going to go ahead and start the show. We got a gigantic pool list just like last week. I think we have 14 books this week. And, me and you kind of talked on the phone prior to this, and this was a really good week for books. Like, I think there were only maybe a couple. Wait, what up, Horizon? Thank you for the sub. It was a pretty... I thoroughly enjoyed this week's pools. I know we got them a little late, but that's because a giant ice storm hit Texas, and we just couldn't get over there. But that being said, there's sometimes there's hills and valleys, right? This was definitely a high week, I think. So we're gonna kick the show off with obviously King and Black number 4. This is a major. I feel like, this event has been going on very well. I think we both said, like, the first 2 issues felt like we were going 60 miles an hour. And now we've kind of, like, slowed down, but in a good way. And in the previous issue, I can't remember exactly what happened in the previous issue. They were just trying to basically... What was it? Oh, I know Storm got freed, or I can't remember. I don't remember issue 3 very well.
It's hard for me to remember exactly what happened in the 3rd issue versus the tie-ins. Since the tie-ins are so close to what's going on.
Right, I remember now. It was revealed that Silver Surfer was on his way to try to crack into the symbiote dome over Earth.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Right. So, number 4, we're continuing that. And Dylan, I think that's what happened. Dylan got captured by Null in issue 3. So we opened the book basically with Dylan captured by symbiote goo and having a one-on-one with Big Daddy Null. And it's looking like, I really felt like by the end of their speech, it was a very reminiscent of Darth Vader talking to Luke.
Right.
Like, my son, we can conquer the universe kind of thing. Galaxy, whatever you want to say. But that's essentially what we get in this first half of this book. And then as Dylan is having a dialogue with Null, there's another voice speaking to Dylan, and he can't tell who it is. He's like, who the hell are you? Get out of my head. And then it ends up being it's Doctor Strange, right? Yeah, Doctor Strange is talking to him.
It's Jean Grey.
Oh, Jean Grey. But there was I think weren't they coordinating though?
They were all coordinating, but it was Jean Grey in his head.
It was Jean Grey with the connections. Gotcha. So Jean Grey was talking to Dylan, basically like making sure that Dylan would stall Null, essentially.
Yeah.
What I liked about this was this book, King in Black finally started reading like a movie. Like the pacing, I felt like was perfect, I guess you could say. And it just felt like it was very fluid rather than, issue 1 and 2 were just go. I enjoyed it, but it just felt like we were getting to this moment essentially.
Right.
So Noel and Dylan are having their dialogue. Jean is telling him basically to stall, and towards the end of their dialogue, it's looking like Noel thinks that he's going to turn Dylan to join him, and Dylan takes his hand and basically is pissed that he killed his dad, and there's just like this opposite reaction, kind of like a burning sensation for Noel. And it's disconnecting his link with all of the Avengers, everyone, all the mutants, everybody that's been nullified. So one by one, we're getting, Human Torch. We're getting Doctor Strange. No, not Doctor Strange.
Human Torch, Strange, Cyclops, Thor, and Susan Storm.
Gotcha. Right. And then after that happens, Strange apparently had a plan. The plan was to grab his staff that's made from the World Tree in Asgard. He turns into his Asgardian form, like he goes Super Saiyan, and they basically use every known weakness to the symbiotes and just do a Kamehameha essentially. And I know that's a weird term to say, and they disrupt.
No, I mean Susan Storm literally looks like she's doing like a straight up like
yeah. So they do it's like a combination of like Dragon Ball Z power up Kamehameha and like different elements coming together to create Captain Planet.
It's pretty cool because you get basically a 4-way interaction with a massive Cyclops eye blast. You get a massive green blast from Doctor Strange's staff. Susan Storm puts out a big blue like force field push. Who's the pink one? I can't remember.
Let me see. Let me pull it up really quick.
Can't remember. Was it Flash? I mean, not Flash. Was it Human Torch?
I think it might be Cyclops.
Well, then who's the red? Cyclops was the red, right? Well, who doesn't matter. Yeah, that's who I think. One of them's Human Torch, one of them's Cyclops. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. The cool thing about Cyclops is he removes his visor. He just goes like full optic blast. Like
there's nothing holding him back at all.
No. So they do their thing. They hit They hit him with the blast, and then they call on Namor to basically shoot like a tsunami wave at him. So now they're hitting him with the water. And it's like a full-on retreat. Spidey's like pissed. He's like, why didn't anybody tell me the plan? He's like swinging away. And what's really cool about it, and it totally reminded me of like right there, Spidey definitely has that Todd McFarlane pose. Mm-hmm. And I kind of, I'm going to sidetrack a little bit, but I think that was on purpose because, we just got announced that Donnie is going to be doing a Spawn book, which, I think there's some, I'm connecting the dots there a little bit.
So sad about that.
Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
So anyway, after the big tsunami storm, then they hit him with the lightning and the thunder. Storm cracks her whip. And so it's like a combo because both Thor and Storm hit Null with that. So Null is looking pretty jacked up. Like he's not able to. It's looking like they may be able to disrupt this thing. And then he's like, enough. And so it looks like he's about to kill Dylan. And then our voice comes back, and that voice is Jean Grey. So Jean Grey does her thing. This panel is amazing when she shows up. And this, all this makes me want is a Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman X book. And with the way we're just getting X books every fucking month, like new ones, you never know. I wouldn't say no to it. I mean, it literally could be, if that book would be Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman writing the X-Men, and it's just like everyday chores and the weekends at Krakoa, I would read it. So what we have here is we have Jean basically downloading the entire history of Null, and we get another callback to Null fighting, or not Null, but Donny Cates retconning what happened in Jason Aaron's Thor run when he talked about those two gods fighting in his Thor run. And so we see this again, and we get a little bit more, we get more of an explainer on it, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to kind of speed it up a little bit because I want to talk about the implications. But essentially what she finds out is that the opposite that Null was fighting in the Jason Aaron run was literally the polar opposite, the light to his darkness. And while this whole explainer is going on, the force that being was shooting towards Earth, but it couldn't get into Earth because of the symbiote core or shell that Null put up. And so lo and behold, who's there that can get through it? Silver Surfer. And so he grabs the force that's trying to get in. He cracks through. Null is freaking out. He's super pissed. And the force goes, I think, directly to Reed Richards. Like, he's got like a device, and it lands in his palm, and he's like, holy shit, this is the Enigma. This is Captain Universe. But we've been calling it the wrong thing. And what we find out is that this force of good is essentially a symbiote. It's a good symbiote, or a symbiote of light. And it envelops, it basically chooses Eddie Brock. So it lifts his corpse up, and he's got like energy rings around him, and it's like, you have been chosen, Eddie Brock, and that's how the issue ends. Now, when I first, like, everything up to that point in this book, I was like, oh my god. And then that happened, and I am not a seasoned reader yet. And I was like, this is clearly important. I have no fucking clue. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. It's deep. It's deep. So you've got like, you've really got two separate things going on here. Mm-hmm. Because you've got Captain Universe and you've got the Enigma Force. Now, I am not super well versed in either one of those, but from what I understand, Captain Universe as an entity derives its powers from the Enigma Force, which is a special zone or special plane of energy between the normal realm of existence and the microverse.
Okay.
And that's that plane of energy, whatever that is. I mean, obviously we're just making shit up. That plane of energy is where Captain Universe, as this entity that travels to different people, gets its power from.
So now, has there ever been a origin story of the Enigma Force?
I have no idea. So I don't know a damn thing about Micronauts or the microverse. Okay. So who knows? I mean, I'm sure there is. Basically, we get a retconned origin for Captain Universe here, but it makes sense. Captain Universe at first was like the light symbiote, and it would bond with a bunch of different beings and then attack Null. And then it realized that being in one being is not good enough. Spreading itself thin, multiple beings isn't good enough. You need to put all of your energy into one. So like when Captain Universe first appears in Marvel Comics, it's like it senses when someone needs help at their most. Like there's actually, I can't remember, I think this might have been from that Marvel Spotlight I was telling you about. Mm-hmm. There's this little girl who's literally holding a gun to her head, talking about how she's about to blow her brains out and she's so useless. And then, good night, baby. I lost my train of thought. Oh, she's about to kill herself. And then all of a sudden she becomes filled with with Captain Universe, and she says, "No, I'm not going to do that," and like smacks the gun and like breaks it in half and throws it, and It's weird. It's really
okay.
weird.
Okay.
He takes over. I say he. It takes over Spider-Man, Laura Kinney, X-23. I was looking it up. There's a lot of people that you wouldn't think of that have been filled with
the Enigma.
Yeah, I guess we're saying that they're both the same thing now. I don't really.
Yeah, because that's how. Yeah, when Richards gets it, he goes, "Oh my God, Gene, these readings of this energy force. You're right. It behaves just like a symbiote. It always has. This god of light. I know what it is. We all do. We have just been calling it the wrong thing. Captain Universe. Finally, the Enigma force solved. And then it just like jumps. And right as it jumps, like there's Eddie being enveloped with it. So what'll be interesting to see is, okay, so does this, again, spoilers, I'm sorry, we should have said that at the beginning. We're going to spoil these damn books. That's our show. Like, literally, it should be called Two Fat Guys Pull a Spoiler Edition, like every episode.
Two Fat Guys Spoil Comics.
Yeah, exactly. Basically. I'll probably have to change that. But what I'm wondering, and obviously we're going to get the answer later, we're going to get really far from now because we'll talk about that too. But is the Enigma force possessing Eddie Brock's body, or has Eddie Brock, because of this, been pulled out of the hive void of Null and is back in his body now? What up, daddy boy? What up, my fatties? What's up? So that's just my question is it just going to be an Eddie corpse possessed by the Enigma force, or will we get the personality or the soul of Eddie back in his body as Captain Universe?
Yeah. If I had to bet, with my limited experience, I would say Eddie Brock's consciousness, whatever that means, is going to be present. Like his personality, his decision making, his memories, his life experience, that will definitely be a part of whatever that body does.
Gotcha.
At least while empowered by Captain Universe.
So
I don't think any of them lose their agency. Like I think like Spider-Man's always Peter Parker, even though he's infused with Captain Universe. He's still the same person.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the reason why I ask is because, like, technically Eddie's dead. Like,
Yeah, I don't know if this has ever happened before, that Captain Universe has taken over a corpse. So.
A corpse. Exactly. So, that basically ends the issue. And the next issue was supposed to come out in March, like mid-March. And it's been pushed back to April for some reason.
April 7th.
And we don't know why. Well, we can speculate why, but I'm a little frustrated with that because, we don't know why. We're speculating it's because there's some other tie-ins that'll probably help move the story along a little bit better, so that's why they're going to hold it until April. Great. My other question is, all right, so, Donnie has teased that, like, this isn't the end between him and his relationship with Stegman, and so we all kind of assume, like, that's because they're going to continue to write a Marvel book, right? But, we don't know. Like, so, like I said through this segment, is Donnie has now been handpicked by McFarlane to write a Spawn spinoff within a Spawn multiverse, which, if we count the books that he's currently writing, it's Thor, Venom, which is ending, this crossover, Rednecks.
Oh, is that still going on?
Yeah. There's something else. I'm missing something. He's writing something else. I can't remember. But either way,
the second volume of God Country is supposed to be coming out, so I'm sure he's working on that right now.
And he's been quoted as saying, like, he doesn't feel burdened with the amount of projects that he has, and so far I believe him, because he's had so many projects before and reread it, and I don't sense a lack of attention in detail in his books, like, outside of maybe Venom, but I think that only makes sense because King in Black is basically a Venom comic book.
Yeah.
So I'm just really interested to see, like, what his next book is, and so with Eddie becoming potentially Captain Universe, are we getting a Captain Universe book now? Because he's not writing Venom. You know, how long will these powers possess Eddie's corpse? I don't know, but I'm just really interested to find out what Eddie's next Donnie's next project is, because I'm excited about him jumping into Spawn, because that makes me like, hey, I want to learn more about that character. But at the same time, like, I like Donnie at Marvel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm just
his
influence.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's rocking it right now, and I'm wondering if Marvel. I don't want to start this speculation train, but I'm wondering if Marvel's kind of over Donny Cates.
I would
assume.
Way. I
hope not, because
with the amount of success that all of his stuff has had, I mean,
sales
before now, Venom was never more than a B- tier character for Marvel. I think a lot of people if you, I mean, like me, only getting into comics within the past 2 years, it just this series has always been around, and so it makes sense. Like, it feels like it's a popular title. Mm-hmm. But I was actually looking at like sales numbers and stuff from a YouTube video, and like Venom has never been just like a hot book. It's never been one of the big top 5 ever in its entire run. With Donnie having the ability to take it, like he's done multiple times, and take a title and blast it to the top, there's no way Marvel's done with them. There's no way.
I hope not. I love his work. I think he just does a great job. And in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I feel like every project that I've read from him with Marvel has been fire. Outside of maybe the second arc of his Guardians run, but I enjoyed it. I just know a lot of people weren't about it, and that was more of dealing with Peter Quill's dad and Drax finally getting back to his body and like crazy shit, and Rocket being dead and like just or maybe dead. So everything that I've read from him I've enjoyed. So yeah, I hope it's not the skeptic in me fears that Donnie's influence at Marvel might be waning, and I hope that's not the case. But I will put my faith in you, Nathan, and hope that you're correct, because I want to. Who knows? I mean, they don't have the rights to Micronauts, right? Marvel does.
I have no idea.
I don't believe they do, because I know when Ron does live sales, he's like, they don't have the rights. I could be wrong, but. Either way, that's, I'm not going to spoil everything that happens in this book. You definitely, if you're not reading King in Black, go pick it up, even if it's a second printing or, a variant cover. Nathan picked up an amazing variant cover.
Hold on.
You should probably, we got to wait for this. This thing's a beauty, and I am kind of pissed that I didn't pick it up, and next time I'm at the store, if Ron still has it, I might get it, because this cover it's mesmerizing. It's, we'll wait for Nate, but it's freaking awesome.
Sorry, I thought I knew exactly where it was.
I couldn't feel.
There it is.
Let's see. Tilt it a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of shine. There you go. So it's Silver Surfer literally blasting into a symbiote dragon. That's a sick cover, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't bought any of the variants outside of the secret variant. And that I'm kind of jelly. Like, I'm kind of hoping he still has it next time I go to the shop.
And this is technically the spoiler variant.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. No, I mean, I looked it up. They call.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, literally just blowing holes through these symbiote dragons like they're nothing.
Hell yeah.
It's awesome.
So that's King in Black number 4. Definitely go check it out if you're not reading it. Super fun. All right. Planet of the Symbiotes, number 2. Yeah, you read this one and then you told me you were like, yeah, it's a meh. And
oh wait, hold on.
What?
Sorry, we didn't mention the prelude in the back of this book.
I kind of don't want to.
What?
Not that. No. Not right now.
Oh, okay.
Let's come back to it.
Okay. It's like, why would we not? Oh my god.
All right, let's reset. So next up we've got. Oh shit. Next up we got Planet of the Symbiotes, number 2. I really enjoyed the first one. Did not enjoy this one. And not like. Let me rephrase. It's not that I didn't enjoy it. It was meh. It was just meh. Okay, so I don't know American Kaiju, and I feel like this was just an excuse to be like, hey, here's this character that we haven't used in forever. Look, and I don't know when American Kaiju was introduced, but
I looked it up. I've already forgotten. I think it was during.
Uh-oh. You're getting choppy.
Did I miss something?
Yeah, you were. I didn't hear any of that. So when was it?
No, that's what I said. It was. I looked it up and I've already forgotten.
Oh, gotcha.
Within like 24 hours. I think it was in a bed.
Dang it.
Yeah. Let me go make sure my thing's plugged in.
Okay. We'll pause. We'll pause really quick. Yeah, I've never. I feel like I vaguely remember American Kaiju. Like I remember reading like an article on Facebook about him, and I was like, "What is this?" And I never did my research. I never like went into it. I just kind of let that one fly over my head. But yeah, that's literally a giant monster with an American flag on its belly chest. Technical difficulties.
This is why they come for the live show, right?
Right. All right, so you looked it up, you forgot, and when was he introduced?
I don't know. I forgot.
Oh, I thought you were looking it up.
No, I was plugging myself in, man. It's got to plug into the internet.
Well, now we got to figure out when American Kaiju showed up.
What's his? And his name is so bad. Todd Ziller. Oh my god.
Todd Ziller.
Oh, what is that supposed to be? Godzilla? Oh wow.
Oh no. Either
Avengers Zero.
Avengers Zero.
In 2015. I don't.
Okay. Well, either way, I did not. So basically, they dropped. The U.S. government dropped American Kaiju or Ted Ziller into New York to fight the symbiotes, and we get internal dialogue of Todd talking about how he decided to do this to himself. He volunteered to become this monster, and you know the American government sent him in to fight more symbiotes, and at one point it's looking like he's doing a good job, but then he's just destroying shit because he's a monster and he's thoughtless. And so at one point he's done as much good as he can, so they send in an agent and basically transform him back into a human. That's the end of that story. It was a very forgettable story. And then the next one was about Prowler, and the only thing I'll say about that story that I liked is the social commentary. When they're in this restaurant, it's Prowler and like his girlfriend or wife, I don't know, and when the symbiotes attack, he immediately realizes like it's like something to do with venom.
Yeah.
And so he's in this restaurant and he's telling people like, hey, like we need to get into the back, get moving. And this like fat 65-year-old balding white dude is like, you don't tell me what to do. I'm, you know, who are you, little boy, kind of thing. And he's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, we're going to die. And then, you know, so like there was definitely like a little bit of a social commentary of like.
Then he gets strangled to death by a symbiote. That's great.
You know, that's, yeah, rightfully so. I think that's, you know, if there was anything in this book that is really worth mentioning, it's whoever wrote that story, you know, shined a light on the fact that, you know, that racism is alive and well in our society, and it didn't feel forced in the book. It felt like it felt right, and it felt like, you know, we should be talking about that. Like, dude, you're about to die. Don't. It's not the best to be a bigot at that point, you know. Like, just move on. Stop being a douche. So, and then later on, Prowler is able to figure out how to defeat the symbiotes, and he flies away, and now he's the Wasp, or the Hornet.
Yeah.
And again, it was kind of forgettable. So that's Planet of the Symbiotes number 2. I probably wouldn't even... This is not going to get clipped for YouTube. It was not... This was one of like maybe 2 meh books this week.
Yeah.
All right. Miles Morales, Spider-Man number 23. This is a cool tie-in. It's like the cover is 100% what happens in this book. Basically, Miles is at school, and prior to, the symbiotes are attacking, so he's like, gotta go. And so he goes to, head towards New York, and then like he sees a symbiote dragon, or a dragon, and he tries to ride it, and it's got the goo on him, and it's trying to take him over. And he calls back to Absolute Carnage, which he initially was enveloped by Carnage in that book. It was pretty cool. I think he had like 6 arms. Like he kind of looked like
Whoa.
Oh, what was it? Demigorgon? I think his name was Demigorgon, or it's the Spider-Man that looks like a monster. So he kind of looked like that in that book.
The Demogorgon's from Stranger Things.
No, okay, then what's the character's name? I have it behind me. There's a Spider-Man that looks like a monster that's got 6 arms.
Oh, yeah, that's from Infinity War. I can't remember what it's called, but
he looked like that. Anyway, so while he's riding this dragon, he realizes that it's covered in symbiote goo, and I thought it was like just a symbiote dragon. So he shocks it, and when he shocks it, the goo comes off, and he's actually riding a dragon.
It's a real dragon.
It's a real dragon.
Yeah.
And so, they land. He's like, hey, thanks. I'm glad I was able to help you out. You think you can give me a lift? Because he gets a call or a text message from Kamala. Is it Kamala?
Yeah.
Kamala Khan, who is Miss Marvel.
Also,
and, go ahead.
Is this symbiote breaking ability that he has expanded on more in Absolute Carnage?
No, because because he's one of the people that gets carnageized or symbiote covered, so he never actually uses his power. I can't remember, but I don't think he is not a key in that book. Like he just gets
seems very out of the blue that he has this insanely mega intense power.
Well, he can do that, right?
Well,
he can do the electricity. That's his thing.
No, I don't know.
You never saw Spider-Verse, did you?
Mm-mm.
So, okay. So all right, we're going to break it down for Nate. So not only is he a Spider-Man, like he's got the abilities of a spider, walk on walls, webs, choo, 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 Spidey sense. He also can go invisible.
What?
Yep. Hey, Lord Boss 69. Thanks for the follow. We appreciate it.
69.
Not only is he's got all the powers of Spider-Man, but he can go invisible. So you can't see where he's at. And then he also can create electricity, like through his webbing and through his hands.
Okay.
So that charge that we see in this book that we're going to get to, that's not like only in this episode. Like he's been able to do that kind of stuff.
Okay. But this seems like very specifically like a thing that he can do against Null, but I guess
yeah, electricity is supposedly one of the weaknesses.
Right, one of the
symbiotes.
weaknesses, but never mind. We could go on about it forever because I was very confused.
Okay, well, either way, he gets a call or a message from Miss Marvel saying like, "Hey, I need your help." When he shows up to like where she's at, she has been nullified. It's scary as shit. She is. Yeah. So Miss Marvel has the ability to. She's like Mr. Fantastic almost. She can change the shape of her body, and so we get a lot of that in this book. It's pretty crazy. So she just is straight up like demon mode. She's just beating the shit out of Miles because Miles is trying to figure out a way to non-lethally get the symbiote off of her. And at one point he's able to because he uses his shocking ability, but it's not fully left her. And he's like, listen, like I have to like basically jumpstart your heart and like the entire city block in order to get this thing off you. And I really don't want to do it because I don't want to kill you. And Kamala's like, just do it. Like, we got to just get it off. And so he essentially does like a mini version of what Human Torch did in Fantastic Four and King in Black 2, where he like does a supernova blast. He does the same thing like electricity wise, and so he's able to get it off of her. She's like, man, it feels like I got hit by a truck, but at least that thing's off. And she's kind of talking like as if she's talking to Miles, and then she goes, "You okay?" And like she turns, and the dude is out. He is. The issue ends with Miles basically being KO'd, and so there is one more tie-in to King in Black from Miles Morales. We'll see what happens, but as of right now, by the end of this issue, he is KO. He is knocked out.
Out of the fight.
Yep. All right, next up, our first Duggan book of the night, Savage Avengers number 18, a continuation from 17 with our becoming our fan favorites, Conan and Deadpool. And basically what happens in this book is they're trying to get cash, and I don't remember why they need the cash. That's the only part that I was just kind of off about. Like, I didn't understand why they needed to do this.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the other guy with them flyer wants to steal some cash from the Hellfire Club, and so they do it. And with the minute they go in, and Deadpool realizes this is the Hellfire Club, he's like, "Yo, we probably shouldn't do this. Like, these guys are armed to the teeth, and they really don't need money. This is just kind of like their rainy day fun."
Right.
And they do it anyway. The crazy thing about the book is the previous book, we come to find out that in Conan's rich history, he has actually been, I wouldn't say possessed, but he has had some form of connection with Venom, to the point where he had his own mini like necro sword. It really wasn't the necro sword, but so we learn later on that like Venom has had a pretty rich history within our own history of being trapped and all kinds of weird shit. I think what the dynamic of the book between these two characters is what sold me in this book. Just like, again, I think Deadpool is a very good character to have for just, again, that comedic relief and that fourth wall breaking. And so like this book had me laughing anytime he popped up. He's just cracking jokes the entire time. Like, at the beginning of the book, they had just escaped prison, and they were sitting outside of the prison, and they were having a discussion. And midway through the discussion, Deadpool's like, "Hey, I think the snipers are still thump," and he literally gets shot in the head mid conversation. And so later on, when he's in the when they get caught at the Hellfire Club, I think it's Bishop, Callisto,
Mm-hmm.
and Iceman show up to defend the Hellfire Club's. You're right, Lord. You gotta love Deadpool, and he deserves his own book, and his book just got canceled. So
it'll be back.
I better be. So when those three show up to defend the base, they're pissed. They're all like, "What the hell are you doing here, Deadpool? Like, you shouldn't be doing this. Like, you know better." And he's like, "Listen, I'm with this guy now. You're going to have to deal with it." And at one point, I think it's Bishop that takes a shot at Deadpool, but he's aiming at Conan, and he picks him up and throws him towards the bullets.
Yes.
That shit's hilarious.
That's after that happened directly after Callisto shushes him, and he says, "You don't shush me," and then she cuts his throat.
Yeah. Like, literally, he's just a punching bag. But we know Deadpool can be a badass too, though. But in this series, like, Duggan is just using him for comedic relief, and I absolutely love it. So they have their battle, their back and forths, and at one point it's Iceman. The issue ends with Iceman and Conan, and he, for some reason, he mentions something, and it sounds like Asgardian.
Yeah,
and
Yeah, Ymir. It's basically the Jotunheim of where Conan is from.
Right.
Same thing.
So he says that, and Iceman's like, "How old are you?" And then he swings a hammer at Iceman and like breaks him in half, and says, "Hello, say hello to the frost giants for me." And like Iceman's face is just like, "Oh," and that's how this issue ends. I think again, to me, this is just a fun tie-in. I don't feel like it has much consequence, and I enjoyed it. I like the artwork too in it too.
Yeah, and there's one more, right, of Savage Avengers that ties in.
Yeah, and I think it's him actually fighting the X-Men. So we'll see how that goes. I have a question for you: is Duggan? Is he writing this entire run?
Yes.
Well, shit. I think I might need to go pick it up.
Have to go get those trades.
I want the singles.
Do what you got to do.
He's become probably number 3 in my tier of writers. He's slowly working his way up the ladder.
Yeah, he's very good.
Did
we find out last time that you were like, oh, I wish he would write Deadpool, and then it turns out he's written like 150 issues.
Yeah, like he knows. Yeah, you're right. The last time we talked about it, he's like very well versed with Deadpool, and I think he should do it again.
Yes, I agree.
So next up, we actually have another Duggan book, which is Marauders 18. This wasn't a bad issue. It was just kind of a meh.
I enjoyed it.
I wouldn't say meh. It was good. Essentially what we have is the Marauders and the mutants, Krakoa, playing hardball with the island of Madripoor and the crime state that's running it right now.
Right.
Now, I will say at the beginning of this book, their play is they're buying up property on the island to mess with this gang, but also they're doing some good. And so Emma Frost opens up a free hospital for humans, and there's some significance here. So when she's presenting it being open, she's surrounded by the Marauders. She invites Magneto and Charles to be part of the ceremony or be in the crowd, and she unveils the hospital, and it's named Moira McTaggart Hospital.
Yeah.
And it's also presented by, I believe, her son, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Proteus. Which is a risk, because isn't he one of the 5?
He's one of the 5. Like, he is not at his job at that point. Resurrection Protocol. But clearly this has triggered Magneto and Xavier, and we don't know why. Like, it's not explained why they're upset about this, and I think I'm speculating. I think it's because we have not heard about McTaggart. We haven't heard about Moira, at least amongst the characters, since the end of House and Powers. Now, we did see her during Ten of Swords when the Cerebro helmets were corrupted, but we haven't seen her in what, 2 years now, she hasn't been mentioned amongst the characters. So that was, I think, is a pretty big signal, I think, and I could be wrong on that. I haven't watched my Comic Book Herald videos yet to see what he thinks, but I think that's significant. And then the rest of the book is them, the Marauders buying up land, buying up properties to fuck with this gang, to the point where they buy a bar, and when they buy a bar, an informant texts the group and says, like, hey, they just bought this property again. They bought some more property. And so our group, I forget, it starts with a V, like Vendetti or...
Yeah, I can't remember, but something like that.
Some gang group. They have been making their own mutants, in a sense. So the policy on Krakoa is you can't kill humans. And so every time our mutants go into some kind of mission that's dealing with humans, they, shoot them in the thigh or rip their arms off, but they don't kill the human. Right. And so this group has been recruiting all of these people that have been getting fucked up, and has mutated them and given them enhancements.
Yeah, are you familiar with the Reavers at all?
Not at all.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm only familiar with them in their original aspect, but the Reavers first pop up during the Australian arc. Basically, takes place between Fall of the Mutants and Inferno in the mid to late 80s. Basically, the original 3 Reavers are actually 3 Hellfire Guardsmen. It happens during the Dark Phoenix saga.
Okay.
Wolverine basically hacks them to bits, but doesn't kill them. And they get found by... oh gosh, I'm not going to be able to remember her name now. She was an original member of the team that Mystique runs for the government. Anyway, she takes them back to her body chop shop that's inside the Mojoverse.
Oh shit.
And experiments on them and gives them extra limbs and all this bullshit, and then puts them back out, and they're called the Reavers.
I gotcha.
So that's where they get this idea from. And I even think that one of these guys is one of those original guys from, the Dark Phoenix saga from way back in the day.
So they're really gross, and they've got like metal parts sticking out of them and multiple arms and shit like that. So they're Madripoor's mutants. So we got, organic mutants versus, synthetic or whatever you want to call it mutants. And so they have a bar fight, and the Marauders essentially find out that this was all a publicity stunt to make them look bad. And so they retreat, and they continue on this game of like trying to control the island. The other thing that we kind of skipped over, I think it happens in this book. Callisto grabs I don't know his name.
Mask.
So I guess he has some kind of reality warping ability or healing ability.
This is actually by far my favorite part of this book.
Okay.
And so Mask is an original. Oh shit! What's the group of mutants that live in the sewers?
Oh, it's heavy in New Mutants because they talk about one of them. Damn it, I don't remember.
It's very vital, and I'm very embarrassed that I can't remember what they are called. The Morlocks.
Okay, there you go.
So the Mask is one of the original Morlocks that's living in the tunnels under New York City, and his mutant ability is to be able to transform faces of beings to anything he wants them to be.
Okay.
And so, like, at one point, he is very much a villainous kind of guy. He is never like an actively like take over the world kind of villain, but every time I've come across him, he's just an asshole. Like at one point, I believe it's Rickon, or not Rickon, Richter. I'm combining Richter and Wiccan together.
Rickon.
He melds Richter's face together to where he has no holes in it. Because he's trying to make him look bad, but the issue is he can't breathe because he has no holes in his face.
Ugh.
And so he starts suffocating to death, and everyone's like, Mask, put his face back.
Nope.
So I love this because Mask has just always been known as like a gross guy.
Right.
And this has been the whole point of Krakoa, right? Is the redemption of all mutants. It doesn't matter what your past is.
Yeah.
Well,
Duggan did a really good job of that. Like I was like, oh, this is dope. So yeah, they bring him in and call him a doctor, and there's a couple with a baby who has a baby with a cleft palate, and he goes in and he's like, I've never done this before, and they're like, no, go ahead, doctor. And he does it. He puts his hand on her face, and the baby's face is fine. And so the other thing is that there's an acceptance going on. Like I think it's genuine, but it's also clearly Krakoa using it as a PR stunt to like get the people of Madripoor, of the lower end of Madripoor, to trust the mutants. But I liked it. I thought it was a really good moment.
Yeah, those are always my favorite moments when you get some of these guys that aren't like, they're not criminals or like war lords or like people that want to take over the world. They're just like assholes because they've had a really hard life and showing redemptive pieces of their story is always good.
So the book ends with the Ravers basically, the mutants retreating, and the UN is called on to basically ban the Marauders from going into the island. And so now our group is now commanding their new synthetic mutants to basically commit genocide and kill the peasants of Madripoor. Now we know that Emma is setting up a Hellfire Gala to invite this group, and it's kind of teased that how they're really going to get rid of them is in this party that we're about to have, and I think there's going to be a slaughter, and I think that this is where we're going to see the corruption of Krakoa, where the first law of kill no man is going to be kind of, outside of the X-Force at least, be kind of looked away at. And I think that's the fate, is that this group is going to end up slaughtered at this party that's happening in a couple of months. So we'll have to wait and see.
Interesting.
That's my theory. Next up, we've got Cable number 8. So 3 Duggan books in a row. This one almost was my pick of the week. It was so damn good. And I also feel like, there have been a couple issues of Cable where I felt like the artist kind of got lazy, like the perspectives was a little off. And this one was not the case. This one was on fire, dude. So Cable is doing this whole, like, trying to solve the mystery of missing mutant babies. And, when that story initially was, Oric was initially introduced, I was kind of like, what are we doing here? But then it's gotten some legs. And so what we get in this book is, the previous book, Cable recruited Domino to help him with this case. And so we get a little bit more of the dynamic between Cable and Domino, and really young Cable learning about the Domino Cable dynamic that he has never known about.
Right.
And, I feel like Domino has a lot of those comedic qualities that Deadpool has, except they're just a little bit more fine-tuned. And so that's what we get in this book. Like, they literally start the book in Tokyo, and Cable's like, why are we here? Like, is this where we need to be? Because, like, your powers are dictating that we need to be here. And she's like, no, I just want really good gyoza, and I can get it here.
When I was reading this, I was like, damn, man, I want some gyoza, too.
Right? That sounded really good. And I was reading this book, like, around lunchtime, too. So they have a dialogue, and we unearth a little bit of history, and it's almost like when they're doing this and Cable's having a talk with Domino, he gets a little starry-eyed, like, yo, I could date this lady. and Domino's like, yeah, you're a little young. I'm sorry. Like, your older version is a little too old, and you're just a little too young. Sorry, bro. And so they're having this dialogue, they're having this discussion, and Cable sees out of his eye one of the followers of X, or I can't remember the name of it, the Cult of X.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh shit, no, that's our guy. Let's go. And so she starts running, and Domino's like, yeah, give me a sec, I gotta finish my food. And so he follows him, and he realizes that it's an aged version of him. It's a clone of him. And so when he gets into this, I'm messing up here. The guy, the clone, locks himself up in like a closet or some kind of room, and Cable can't figure out how to get in, and then he kind of puts 2 and 2 together, and he uses his own eye, and it recognizes him. So right off the bat, it's fishy. And so he goes in, and the guy's like, hey, this whole time we're looking for Strife, which is, am I saying that right? Strife?
Yeah, Strife.
Strife, who is a clone that Apocalypse made of Cable. He's the one pulling the strings of all this, apparently. And so they kind of have like a dueling of words, to the point where Cable's like, listen, I need you to come with me alive. Like, you're the key to me figuring out all this shit. And he goes, yeah, just know that whatever you think you're going to do to me, Strife will do 10 times worse to me. And he ends up killing himself. And in doing that, he releases more clones, and they're actually direct clones of Cable. And so we get a match, and literally they look exactly like him. And so
Clothes
they're
and everything.
Huh? Yeah, everything.
Clothes.
And so they're fighting it out, and they kind of subdue him. And Domino shows up in the room, kind of like with her mouth kind of full, and she's like, "Oh hey, I'm here." And then she realizes that the shit's going down, and so she pulls her gun out, and she just starts shooting cables. And you would assume she's doing it with some kind of precision. No, because she's Domino and she's all about the luck. She just shoots and asks questions later.
Mm-hmm.
And so she kills a bunch of cables. And I think one shows up and he thinks, right? Like it's like, oh, hey.
Yeah, he says, "Amazing shooting, Domino. How did you know which one was the copies?" And she says, "I didn't." And then she's like, he was like, "Oh, so you just shot till you're empty?" And she's like, "No, I have one more." Boom.
Closes that off, yeah. And then she picks up the real cable, and they start. The best part of this is, so she's like, what do we do now? Like, I needed one of them to be alive. And she goes, "Hang on 1 minute." And she goes, 1, 2, math, 11. Oof, bad news. There's still one left. And so they chase another cable clone into the alley, and he pretty much gives up pretty quickly. And he's like, they're like, "Hey, put your gun down." And it's raining, and they're stepping in a puddle, and he drops the gun that he has, and it's a taser gun, and he's able to subdue Cable and Domino. And so we don't know exactly what the play is here, except for the fact that it looks like Strife is trying to invade Krakoa with a carbon copy of Cable. And so if this one survives, it'll work. And so this one is basically giving off like this evil plan speech. And while all this is going on, at the beginning of the book, Domino explained her powers like with the representation of a meteor field or an asteroid field. Mm-hmm. And so she goes, like, her powers basically are anticipating trajectories and collisions. And so that illustration is set up in the beginning of the book. He's giving out this clone is giving away his like evil speech, and then we see something flying from the atmosphere all the way down, and the guy's like, Cable goes, "What is that?" And thump, and rips his head off. And Domino goes, or no, actual Cable goes, "Did you plan that?" And she's like, "Nope, it's just how it goes, man." Like, yeah. So, he gets the plan, but he lost any connection to Strife in this book, and it leaves Cable upset initially with Apocalypse, because he's the one that kind of created all this in lore of X-Men. But he's just pissed because he's just kind of chasing this rabbit that's always eluding him. And then the book ends with us back at Old Man Cable going into a building or some kind of facility, and I'm intrigued by that storyline. I just don't know what the hell's going on, and I know that Duggan is setting it up for this big reveal. Yeah. But if there's any kind of me being disappointed, I guess would be that, because I just want to know what the hell's going on with Old Man Logan, Logan, Cable.
Cable, yeah, it feels like that's gonna get drug out for a while.
I mean, it has been for 8 issues.
I think it's gonna keep going.
Because I thought he was for some reason I thought he was in limbo, and I think he still is. I don't know. Either way, I did enjoy this though, and this one was almost my pick of the week.
Yep, it was a good one.
All right. Speaking of pick of the weeks.
Uh-oh.
I'm calling it.
This your pick of the week?
Thor number 12 is my pick of the week.
Oh boy.
Just because it was awesome. We got Throg fighting what's his name again? The alter ego? Blake.
Yes, sorry.
We had Throg literally kicking some major ass. We had Lockjaw, who out of all the Inhuman characters, is one of my favorites, especially in Death of the Inhumans. Literally taking bites out of Blake. And we get, we finally get Jane realizing that Blake is not right, that he is not right in the head in this book. So the book opens with a dissected frog and a mini history lesson of Throg. And when I was reading it, I was like, holy shit, did he win? Like, 'cause in the previous book, Blake was getting his ass handed by Throg, and we know that Blake uses a scalpel as one of his weapons, and there's like a scalpel cutting this frog open. I immediately thought, shit, Throg lost.
Yep.
And then the next page, it's like a science classroom, and then Blake getting thrown into the classroom by Throg. So thank God Throg is alive, at least at this point in the book. And I will say, Donny Cates wrote Throg perfectly. Just, I don't know, he had all of the pomp and circumstance that Thor usually has, but it just didn't feel cheesy. It felt like, damn, I would not want to mess with that frog.
Yep.
And so Blake is getting his ass kicked. He's got Scythe's, or not Scythe's, Scythe's sword. And I also think he has the axe of...
What was that? I'm sorry.
What's the name of the lady, the girl that, or the woman that does that can see everything? Scythe?
Oh, Sif.
Sif.
Gotcha. Sorry.
So he's got Sif's sword, and then I think he has the axe of Unworthy Thor, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Which we find out later is one of the Valkyries' weapon, or main choice of weapon. And so they're, through this battle, they are literally jumping. Blake is jumping with the sword to different realms, and Lockjaw is jumping with Throg to catch him. And so it's literally just this battle between realms, and it's beautifully done. I mean, I think this was the highlight of the book, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Nick Klein is just... he's awesome. Like, his
I
style is so good.
kind of like his artwork better than Stegman, and Stegman does a really good job.
I love Stegman too, but I think that there's something that feels a little bit more digital, polished with Stegman, and Nick Klein's feels a little more natural, I think. But
yeah, I would agree with that. So at one point, it looks like Blake, he eats Throg. He like captures Throg and puts him in his mouth and is like, "Oh," and he looks at Lockjaw and goes, "You lose." And as he's saying that, he's like, "Wait a minute," and there's a shot of a mini hammer going through Blake's mouth, just
like,
right,
blowing his teeth out and bursting his lips open.
Yep, and then Throg flies out, boo, through his and gets his hammer, and they continue to fight, and it looks like they actually subdue him. They're like, "Hey, we got him." They knock him out, and there's this big like boom, like just kick-ass thing where Throg like hits him in the noggin. And then they're trying to figure out what to do with him, and Lockjaw wants to eat Blake. Like, he's like, "We should eat him." And Throg's like, "We can't do that. This guy needs a doctor." And obviously you're like, Doctor Strange, it's Donny Cates, yes. And so we cut to Jane Foster walking the streets, and she's kind of having this dialogue. She's trying to get a hold of Tony. She's like, "Something's up. I need to get, something's up with Blake. I need to find one of the Avengers, and no one can find Thor." And in the middle of her conversation, we see a battle break out where Throg has gotten his ass kicked, and then we see Lockjaw getting thrown out of a window. And you're just kind of going like, "Wait, we just won, right?" And Throg tells Jane, like, "You need to run." And then we get, she looks up and she's in front of Doctor Strange's house, essentially, her sanctum. And he is getting chokeholded by Blake. And again, terrific artwork by Nick Klein. Like, dude, epic. And so she sees that, and she loses it. She's like, "I gotta save it." She turns into the Valkyrie. She's straight on going to kick Donald Blake's ass, and they go after it. They start fighting, and before she can really like sink her teeth into fighting Blake, he throws Steven at her and goes, "See ya," and he warps out. And so what we find out is Strange says, "Listen, he read my mind. He realizes how he can get to Odin. He knows how to do it." And so we cut to Blake cutting down the world tree and making it bleed. And so, dude, just epic shit. And he's basically, what Blake is doing is he's sucking the powers of Odin out of different individuals to become more powerful. So it's getting to the point where like Thor might not even be able to beat this guy now. And you know, we cut to Jane saying like, I know exactly how to fix this. And the end of the book basically ends with her finding Odin in a bar and calling him out and saying like, you need to clean up your mess. Your children are running amok. And Odin's kind of like, say what now? But overall, this book did everything for me. The artwork, fantastic. The writing, fantastic. It felt like a movie. I felt like the pacing was correct, and it blew me away. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people might find the Odin reveal a little kind of meh, but I liked it a lot.
I did too.
So.
I did too, and I'm actually going to double down on this book.
Ooh.
And pull reverse on you and say that this is my pick of the week as well.
Whoa, ladies and gentlemen, that is a live thing. That because we discuss prior to the show, we'd say like, hey, what's your pick of the week, so we can kind of, prep it. But damn, dude, I guess I just did a good job of selling it.
Well, for some reason, when I was right as we were prepping and I was getting all my books in order, I saw this book, and I feel like when I was thinking back on it, I was thinking back on like the previous issue of like Donald Blake going around like having dinner with Jane and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then when we got here to talk about it, and I opened this page, and the first page I opened it to was Donald Blake's mouth getting burst open. I was like,
yeah.
Wait a minute. I was like, no, this issue was so much better than I remember.
It was intense, dude. Like, it was just a good issue.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is the past 3 issues, Thor has not been in any of them. He's been stuck in the World Tree.
Yep.
So, yeah, this issue's dope. Donny Cates is on fire, and I hope he goes further than 35 issues on this run. I'm going to be very disappointed if he doesn't.
Yes, I agree.
So, next up, what would have been
my pick of the week?
Guardians of the Galaxy number 11.
It was for a few moments.
All right, well, you know what? Break it down.
So basically what we have here is, a setup to, I think, our big showdown next issue, but also it's like a little bit of a throwback love story to the Annihilation storyline.
Which you're like super into.
I love it. So, the original Annihilation story was like the beginning of the modern cosmic story. Nova and Star-Lord are the main guys. Like, they're literally these 2 ragtag dudes that somehow create a united front of Kree and Shi'ar and every race you can possibly think of. I mean, they get Blastar and what's his name? I can't even remember, but a bunch of different people, Ronan the Accuser, like all on the same side to fight against Annihilus and the Annihilation Wave. So the first few pages of this is actually a callback to that. So one of the things that Annihilus does is he's actually able to capture Galactus and chain him to this weapon that they've designed on how to harness Galactus's energy and use it. And so there's this massive epic battle that the United Front's barely starting to maybe win, and then Annihilus is like, all right, shoot the Galactus beam, and then they force Galactus to unleash his energy and completely decimate this planet. And the United Front's only a few of them are able to get away. Yeah, look at that. That's
yeah. So I was gonna ask you about that. I was like, so that actually happened in the comics?
But yes,
because I always view Annihilus as just kind of goofy.
No,
but
Annihilus
apparently not.
It's pretty intense in this. Yeah, I mean, he is goofy. Don't get me wrong, but like, he is taken seriously, and it feels serious when you're reading this.
Gotcha.
And so, we're being told this basically by Nova is having a little bit of a flashback, but it turns out what he's doing is actually talking to his therapist that we got in some previous issues.
Like 3 issues ago.
Yeah, like 3 issues. And this is basically him having a way to like sort of reminisce on what they're at. What they're on the planet that one of the main fights happened on. I don't remember if it's the same planet that's mentioned at the very beginning because I thought that planet got completely decimated, like the planet like broke in half. But it could be that one because they mentioned that this planet is lifeless. There's no people on it, and that's why they want to fight the Olympians here.
And it's like super far out, right? Like it's like in the outer rim.
Exactly. Yeah, he mentions we're a long way out from civilization. But basically he's, telling his therapist like the plan, hey, like we're out here, this is what we're doing. And he said, oh, did I mention about that Star-Lord was back? And he's like, yeah, how do you feel about that? And then we get a quick confrontation between Gamora and Star-Lord. They're finally reunited now that Star-Lord is back. And just to kind of give you a glimpse, or give the reader a glimpse of this dualistic mind frame that Star-Lord has right now, he at first sees her as the woman that he's in love with when he was in this
astral plane
thing. And then, after he gets knocked across the face, punched out by Gamora, he realizes, oh wait, no, that's Gamora. Richard Rider kind of helps him to his feet, and they basically have a conversation about like, we kind of get a little bit more of an understanding of like where Star-Lord's at, like what's exactly is going on, because I've been kind of frustrated with like this, essentially a rewriting of the character. It's a way of taking Star-Lord and making him be a completely different person.
Right.
But I felt like this issue kind of put me at ease a little bit. He says like, listen, like, Rich, like a lot of things happened to me while I was there. And sometimes my memories from there feel like a distant past, and my memories with you guys feel like my normal life. And sometimes my normal life with you guys feels like it happened forever ago, and that other life was just yesterday.
Yeah.
And he's like, but just because that other stuff happened to me, it doesn't mean I'm not still the person that I am. We're still friends. We still went through all this shit together. I still remember that, and that's still the person that I am. And I don't know, I felt like I kind of needed that because I was like, man, don't change. Like, I love this dynamic between them. It's so fresh in my head since I've read it, a month ago. And so, versus it came out like 14, 15 years ago. So it's very fresh in my head comparatively.
What I liked about that is like when they have their moment and they like, embrace each other as friends. Gamora pops up. It's like, are y'all done like having feelings? Can we like get to work now?
Yeah. And then also we have an aside between Moondragon and Phyla-Vell of their continued tension. A few issues ago we had Moondragon, the 2 Moondragons from alternate dimensions, which I still am not exactly sure how they all got there. Because I don't think either of those Moondragons were the original 616 Moondragon. I think they were from different ones, and this Phyla-Vell isn't the 616 either.
This is where it like frustrates me because I already don't know what the hell's going on, and then you're like, hey, here's this continuity, and here's this continuity, and then here's this continuity, and then we're gonna go like this, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
That didn't detract. That I'll say this. That did not detract from me from not liking. Like, I have slowly gotten back on board with Ewing's Guardians of the Galaxy, and that even with that frustration, it didn't deter me from not enjoying this book this week.
Yeah, and it basically we just get it. I think it's only 3 pages, but basically, Phyla-Vell is like, how can you, I don't even know which Moondragon you are. Like, how can you expect me to, love you? And Moondragon takes her to this like mindscape area that they used to have in the past. This is kind of like their getaway when they were out in space. They were like, at one point they were like hiding in a temple or something and like freezing. This is like the mindscape that they go to. It makes them seem like they have a normal life. And she says like, don't bring me here. Like, this isn't your place. This is my Moondragon. And Moondragon's like, you've made a commitment to me as well. And I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting dynamic between their relationship.
It was really heavy, like but it came out of nowhere because we were dealing with like Gamora and Star-Lord and Nova.
Well, I thought the transition was good because it happened when Phyla-Vell interrupts Moondragon from eavesdropping in on them.
That's right.
Anyway, I think that their relationship is interesting. They've always been. I mean, I'm a little biased, but I think like two lesbians like kicking major ass in space is just like the most like random, like really cool relationship.
Yeah,
and it's been like this for a long time, and so I'm glad that this relationship is still present.
Still moving.
Yeah. And then finally, the issue ends basically with what is it? Rocket, Groot, Hercules, and Marvel Boy.
Marvel Boy
are coming back with like a secret weapon. They were trying to get there right before the Olympians arrive, and the Olympians arrive right as they're flying in, and it looks like they blow up their ship. Obviously, they're not dead. Like we know that they're not dead, but no. I actually think that the page, it's like a full page spread of the Olympians coming back, is actually pretty dope. Like
it looks cool, but yeah, go ahead. I'll.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I'm not super into the Olympians. Like I don't really understand like who they are, where they came from. This could be a continuity thing that I'm missing. I'm feeling like I can be okay with it because we know for sure that this is done after the next issue. Yeah. Because the next issue, we have the end of this current arc. You know, we've got this liftoff thing that we've been counting down to. So we know issue 12 will be the last thing with these guys. And then issue 13 is when we get our new team. But sadly, I think we're getting a new artist. Isn't that right? Isn't Juan Cabal leaving the book?
I think so. You keep on going because I don't want to kill your stride.
No, that's all I was going to say was, okay. I was going to say, on top of all of that, one of the reasons why this was so close to being my pick of the week is because Juan Cabal's paneling is like, I mean, it's not like groundbreaking paneling, but it's just not the house style that you see in every single Marvel book.
Right.
It's so much more cinematic. We get so many of these tight, wide shots, but all of our paneling is black in the back. You know, it's almost like the comic is in night mode.
Right.
And I think it adds such a dark cinematic theme to the book that we don't get in a lot of other books. So I'm going to be very sad to see him go if he leaves the book.
I don't know if he is or not. I guess for me, like you're saying, like the panel layout, I do enjoy. I do like that, and I do like the idea, like that comparison of night mode. I do like that. I have not really been outside of the Moondragon and Star-Lord issues that are like really psychedelic.
Mm-hmm.
I have not really been that big of a fan of the artwork. I don't know why. This is like super picky. Like for me, like Star-Lord and his nails being super long really bothers me.
Okay, no, that super bothers me.
It's like every time he shows up, I'm like, just clip your goddamn nails. Like, I know there's no way you don't have a nail clipper, bro. Anyway, but again, like the panel of the Olympians showing up looks amazing. But it goes back to what we both said. Like, I don't care. I don't like. It's such a badass introduction, and I'm like, like I don't. Who cares about the gods of the Greek gods? The other thing that I will say that detracted from me from this book, outside of everything, like I enjoyed this book, but the one thing that kind of is like, it's even like Ewing going like, they're not dead, is when the Olympians show up and blow up the ship, and you're like, as a reader, you're like, oh shit, they're dead. The Guardians that are on the ground are like, no, and then suddenly they're like, but whatever, like let's get to business. And I'm like, wouldn't you be even more like, you'd be crying into battle that you just killed your friends? And it's like, Ewing's like, they're not dead, so I'm not even gonna write that the Guardians are like, I will give them a panel of them being upset that they potentially, their friends died, and now we're just gonna like go stone faced and we're about to fight. that to me was the only thing in the thing in the book that was like, wait, that feels like there's a disconnect there. Like, you have all this emotion in one panel, and then we get stone faced and like, we're gonna fight you now.
Right.
Like, that was a little weird. I almost feel like Ewing's like, let's just get this Olympia thing over so that we can get into like my new team, and everybody's talking about Doctor Doom being in the Guardians, and that's what we've come here to see. But I also believe that in this last book, the cover is Nova's helmet all jacked up on the floor. But I think it's a misdirect. I think Peter's going to lose his powers in the next issue.
You think what?
That Peter will go back to being Peter Quill and not this like,
I think you're right.
I think he's going to lose it.
Yeah, I think you're right, because it seems like this reset that we're getting in issue 13 is like Marvel saying, "Hey, we don't like where that went. It wasn't very successful, but we still trust you, Al." Because usually this is the point where we would see it would get canceled. We'd wait a few months, and then we'd get a new relaunch number one with a new writer. And I think that they're showing that, hey, we still have faith in Al Ewing. He's the cosmic guy. He knows the space shit, but like, this is a restart. And I'm really proud of them for not just, because there have been times that has happened and even the writer hasn't changed, and they've just cut it off and then started over at a number one. And it's like,
yeah,
come on, like, we don't need that.
Yeah, and I think we're in the middle of that right now with some of the other properties that we know are coming probably in June or July. Like, things that have been cut that people are like, why'd you do that? Like, we were enjoying that,
Yeah, but I went ahead and looked it up too. It looks like Juan Cabal's last issue is issue 12. He's leaving the book. Wow. And Ghost Rider artist Juan Figueri
from the previous run.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That guy, the Ghost Rider books before it got canceled, I thought were fucking amazing.
They were good, but the art wasn't as good as this one. So, sorry.
I will respectfully disagree. Yeah. All right, next up, Iron Man. I like this book, but we're going to run through it quickly because we got some other books that we really need to get to. But that being said, Iron Man number 6 was really good this week. We got, I'll just say this. We finally got some confirmation that the group, or not finally, in the last issue, Scarlet Spider, Frogman, Gargoyle, and I can't remember the other girl's name.
Misty Knight. It
looked like they were dead, and I was going to be really sad if they were dead. And they didn't die. Thank God. And we knew that they weren't going to die, but come on, let's have a little bit of suspense, can't we? So basically, in this book, we get confirmation that Iron Man is continuously getting fucked up in every battle that he has in this book. And in the last book, like, Kovac like body slammed him with a bolt of lightning and
broke his neck.
And the only, he gets up after that, and the only reason why he's able to get up with his neck intact is that the armor is holding his neck in place. So he retreats and gets our group of people that we thought were dead to basically work on him and make a living Iron Man, like, literally. And so they adjust his neck to make sure that it stays in place, but it can only rotate at 50%. If he takes his helmet off, he's dead. But they make all these adjustments and all of these I don't know what you would say, just repairs, so that he can go after Kovac. He's like, no more bullshit, no more emo Iron Man, no more emo Tony Stark. I'm not taking any more. I'm not going to give any more apologies. I'm going to kick this dude's ass. Yep. So they fix him, and while this is all going down, Hellcat is still having an internal dialogue with Kovac to the point where he's trying to convince her to essentially turn on Tony.
Yeah. And
she's struggling with it, dude.
Big time.
She might actually do it. I'm getting vibes that she might do it. And so she's getting ready to he's getting ready to go after Kovac. Kovac is fueling up his ship. They're going after Galactus' ship because that's where Kovac's going to ascend. And he's got all these other Iron Man villains that are just like brainwashed to be his disciples. And at one point, there's one, I think his name is the Guardian, right? Or
yeah,
I can't remember.
Something like that.
Yeah, he basically they have Rhodes captured, Rhodey, and Rhodey escapes. And so Kovac's like, hey, I need you to come with me on this. Like, I need everybody involved. And he's like, listen, if we let that guy get away, if we let basically War Machine get away, we're fucked. So I'm going to go, praise me in Valhalla. And so he goes after him. So, Rhodes shows up at Tony's place and he's like, hey, I got this. I'm in my own iron suit, my own War Machine suit. You need to lay off. I've got backup coming. We're going to take care of this. Tony, you need to rest. And Tony's like, no, I'm stubborn. I have a broken neck. I'm taking responsibility for my own problems. Meh.
Nah.
And, they basically have a shouting match, and then to the point where Rhodes is like, fine, I'll go with you to make sure you don't get yourself killed, bro. And that's kind of where I think that's where the issue ends, is like, they're like, all right, we're going. And before they take off, the Guardian shows up, and he's like, ha-ha, I found you. And Rhodes is like, hey, let me take care of it. And Tony's like, he doesn't even say anything. He walks past Tony, or past War Machine, and just goes, boom! It just smacks the dude through a wall, through some cars, and is like, can we go now?
Yeah, it was intense.
And that's how the issue ends. I really, this was a fun book. I feel like this book improves every week. And the artwork in this book is fantastic.
Very good. Of course, the covers are amazing.
Yep, because it's Alex Ross. So cover. I don't know if it's cover of the week yet. Give me a second. I think another Alex Ross cover might be cover of the week. I'm just gonna say that right now. But that is Iron Man number 6. I'm definitely looking forward to just how this story progresses. But definitely taking it right now.
Either Cable or this secret variant. It's got to be covered.
Yeah, it might be that secret variant that's the cover of the week. But Cable's pretty damn good, too.
Cable's good.
All right, next up, we got The Immortal Hulk Flatline number 1. I think it's written and drawn by...
Declan, was it Shelby?
Shelby, yeah. This was an okay book. I enjoyed it, but the other tie-in one that I read that was by, I think, Jeff Lemire.
Yeah.
That one I think was better. I'm just going to say that right now.
Yeah, it was significantly better.
But this one was fun. We basically get a reunion with Banner and an old colleague who was his mentor, who we end up finding out ends up becoming a gamma mutate as well. So after Bruce's accident and he fled, the government called on experts to kind of study what happened, and she was one of them, and she ended up being infected by gamma radiation. And so she's basically been watching Banner through the years and realizing like he needs more mentorship, he needs more tutelage. Mm-hmm. And she's basically like, she can float, she's got like gamma telekinesis powers, and they end up fighting it out, and she's basically trying to get the Devil Hulk and Banner to work together and to realize that they both need each other, that it's not the Hulk the Banner just needs the Hulk, or vice versa, that they both are unison, they are cohesive, they're a cohesive unit, and they're not acting like it. Right. And so she's kind of slapping them around. And so at the end of the book, the other thing that's really stressed is that when Banner turns into the Hulk, he never knows where he's going to show up next because he loses his memory. And so at one point, the Hulk is fighting his mentor, and she knocks the shit out of him. And so when Banner wakes up, he wakes up on the top of a hospital. And he's like, well, why am I here? But it's different because every time he wakes up, he's got to go find new clothes. But when he wakes up at the top of the hospital, there's literally a pair of clothes like waiting for him. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, that's different. And he gets dressed. And then he realizes that his mentor is dying of cancer. And so she taught him another lesson. Like, you need to work together. You need to, stop being petty with one another and start working as a unit and start giving each other help rather than just like letting the other one take the wheel during the day and the other one taking the wheel at night. Instead of Jesus take the wheel, it's Hulk take the wheel.
Right.
Overall, it was an okay issue. We learned a lesson, but I will definitely say it's not as strong of an issue as Jeff Lemire's. That one was just epic, and this one was just okay.
I thought it was an easy reader, though. Like I feel like I went through really quickly.
No, the cool thing about this is you don't have to necessarily be reading Immortal Hulk to know what the hell's going on, because they explain it to you like, the nighttime is the Hulk's time, and that shit. Like they use everything, they use all the story drivers from Ewing's run and place it in this book, but it doesn't feel rushed. I will say that.
Yep.
All right, Spider-Woman number 9. Dude, this is a weird-ass book. It got really weird. So what we find out is Spider-Woman's mom was trying to find a way to get the pursuing Hydra forces away from her. And how she did that is she approached the High Evolutionary. Right? Am I saying that right? Mm-hmm. He basically was like, she was like, clone me, make multiple clones of me so that they can never track where I'm going and they can never track my daughter. And originally he was like, I'm good. And then she died. And then he was like, I guess I'll do it. And so he made a shit ton of clones. This is the best. So Jessica goes, is it Jessica? I think it's Jessica.
Yes, Jessica.
She goes, you're a real fucking creep. You've made thousands of clones of my mother, and they're all working for you. And he goes, I have only technically made 75.
Damn.
And she's like, that doesn't make it any weirder. And so he explains to her, like what I just said, like why she was being cloned. And then he also has the cure that she's looking for to get this poison that's out of her, and like this whole like every time she takes the antidote it makes her go crazy and she loses like half of her life. What the crazy thing that happens is her nemesis in this book apparently has been doing the same thing. She cloned herself, but it's more of like a Boba Fett situation where it's a younger version. Like she grew it as a baby rather than like just aging her to her age at that point. Mm. And so she's been trying to groom this girl, her daughter, to be like the next her. And she's super defiant about it. And so when all this shit goes down, at one point, what the villain, I think her name is, starts with the V. She basically is trying to get this code out of the High Evolutionary that he needs that he needs to unlock to give Jessica the antidote. But if he ends up unlocking it and saying the code out loud, and she's like, yes. And she goes, got what I need. And she ends up killing the High Evolutionary in the process. And her clone daughter is like, the fuck are you doing? Like, this guy's been helping us. And he's like, I got what I needed. And so she ends up killing the High Evolutionary. And the daughter ends up fighting the mother back to the point where she calls out the fact that she's weak. And the mother goes, yes, you're my weakness. And she snaps her neck and kills her daughter in the book. And I'm like, I was sitting there going like, what? Wait, clones of moms? What's going on here? Like, this book is everywhere. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's all over the place. Mm-hmm. So the book ends with Spider-Woman's nemesis killing her clone daughter and all the other mom clones dying, and the High Evolutionary dying. But in the process, Jessica looks like she got the antidote, but it doesn't look like it's a good thing. So that's how this book ends. It's fucking crazy. And then again, I know you hate the covers. I think they're cool. I think this one's creepy. I like it. All right. gonna fight through this one too, but Ron was really happy that I picked up Marvel number. I want to say it's 5.
4.
4. Okay. So in every one of these books, so this is an Alex Ross initiative. He gets like different writers and artists to write little short stories. And at the beginning and the end of the book, there's this continuous storyline of Nightmare taking over the Marvel universe, essentially. Mm-hmm. And so in the last book, he took on the what are they called? The big guys, Celestials.
Yeah, absolutely.
He ended up consuming Celestials. So at the end of that book, the next thing, the next people on the plate were like the Watcher, like super hardcore cosmic beings, like the Watcher, the golden being that's got 3 heads, that's got the thing over his head. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's oh shit. Keep going, I'll remember it.
Anyway, he takes them down at the beginning of the book. He literally takes them down. He just
a living tribunal.
There you go. Yeah, he makes easy work with them. And so while he's consuming these entities, Strange is talking to himself and saying, "Well, I need him to continuously focus on these bigger beings so I can try to defeat him using something that he's not paying attention to." So that's how the book opens. And then the first story we get is a Wong story, which is really cool. And it's Wong basically cleaning up messes of other people that get caught in astral planes either accidentally or on purpose.
This is the guy that works with Doctor Strange?
Yes.
Okay.
And so it's a really weird story, but basically he finds this entrepreneur guy that is trying to create an app that can shrink things of great power to the point where you can hold it in the palm of your hand. Okay. And he's stuck in this astral plane, so he got a distress call. So Wong shows up, and this guy's super arrogant. He's like, "Hey, you're here! Thank God! Like, I can continue my work." And it was like all part of his plan, and it ends up failing. And Wong puts the guy in his place. He wipes his memory, and it's a really good story. It's really fun, and the artwork on it is really good. The middle story is a Nick Fury World War II story where Captain America is dead, and he's drinking to remember him, and so he's got war stories with Cap. The only thing that kind of throws me off about it is when they show how Cap dies. I guess in this universe he's portrayed as a Nazi.
What? And
it's hidden. I don't know. I may have misread this thing. But when they show Cap's dead body, he looks like a Nazi. He's wearing a Nazi armband, and it's no one will ever know kind of thing. Really weird. And then the third story is basically a rematch between Wolverine and the Hulk, and the artwork on it is fantastic. I mean, just dope. And it's Cyclops basically. He's critiquing how Logan fights. He never fights with strategy. He just goes in head first kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Professor X throughout the fight is saying, "Listen, I don't think you understand. Wolverine is the most strategic when he's in full rage mode. That's how he fights. That's how he's able to win. Whereas when Hulk goes full rage, it's just pure fury. There's no strategy behind it." And so it's kind of a learning lesson for Cyclops. He realizes that Logan actually is very strategic in his fights, and he can only be a master of his own technique if he's in full rage mode, which is pretty cool. So that's this. These are really fun. There's sometimes there's stories in here that I'm don't know what the hell's going on there, because they're 1940s callbacks where it's the original Black Widow and it's actually a demon and not Black Widow sometimes, and then just weird shit like that. But Alex Ross is just playing with Marvel continuity and just having fun with it. And then the covers are just fantastic. This cover is insane, and it's messy, and I really, really like it. So
nice.
All right,
check those out.
Yeah, I'll let you borrow them. You should check them out. All right, Last Ronin, number 2. This book is literally on fire.
Oh my god, put it out.
What?
I'm about to.
I'm about to.
Okay.
So when issue 1 got announced, there was like a massive low print run. So you were lucky to get that book if you did.
Oh, there it is.
But anyway, so apparently this book has been the most like highly anticipated book, and apparently it broke records for copies printed. So everyone's like super stoked about the book. We get a little bit.
Issue 2 did?
Yes. So what we get in this book is more backstory of what happened to the turtles, why Michelangelo is really the only one alive. We don't get quite to that point. We find out what happened to April. April is a mess. She's got 2 prosthetics, like robot prosthetics. One is her left arm and the right leg. So there was apparently some kind of... So what we get in this book is basically we time jump. So we see that, and then we go to where the turtles are alive. And we get a scene where April is has been proposed to by Casey Jones. And so they're going to get married, but they need to announce it to the turtles because the turtles will be pissed if anybody marries April O'Donnell. I think I said that right. I think her last name is O'Donnell. Okay. I can't remember. April. And so they're getting dinner ready, and right before the turtles are late, April's really concerned. She's like, they're never late. And then Raphael just flies through the house covered in blood. And he's like, get him in here now. And you turn, and Donatello and Michelangelo have Splinter, and Splinter is just ripped to shreds. He's not looking good. And what happened is they got ambushed by the Foot. And what happened apparently was that they had a truce. The Turtles had a truce with the Foot Clan, and they broke the treaty. And they ambushed him before they could get to this dinner. And they essentially killed Splinter. They fucked him up. So, yeah, Raphael clears the table, this nice dinner, gone. They put his body on there, and they're like, we need to get this guy fixed. April's like, I'll try. We need to figure out what wounds he has and which ones are the most serious, and just work from there, work up.
Yeah.
And Raph is pissed. He's like, we had this treaty. I'm gonna go out and kill them. I'm over this. This is war. And before he can go, Leonardo shows up, and he's like, stop. We need to compose ourselves. This isn't worth it. They have an argument. They continue to try to focus on Splinter, and when they finally figure out what they're going to do, they realize that Ralph took off without them, and he goes and fights the Foot, and he slaughters them. He kills a shit ton of Foot Clan, and I don't know the character that is the head of the Foot at this point. It's a woman that I think is related to Shredder. They go at it. They fight. They're like, this is to the death. And they start going at it. And they're like, Ralph's got like arrows and spears stuck into him. He's going to die. And he goes out in a blaze of glory. Like, he grabs her, the woman ninja, the head of the ninja clan, the Foot. And he literally jumps off of a bridge with her. And he holds her to drown her in the ocean.
Damn.
And they're fighting. And she pulls out like this like brass knuckle thing, but it's got spikes on it. And she just puts it into Ralph's head from the bottom of the jaw, and he stabs her through the stomach to the back with his sai, and they float down to the bottom, and he dies. And the end scene is his sai floating to the top of the, like, floating, and I was like, oh shit. So then we cut to Michelangelo in present, and he's having a dialogue again with his dead brothers. Like, he's in the first book, he was literally, the ghosts are talking to him, like voices in his head, and he's just upset. You know, he's mourning his brothers still, and so he's literally making tea with the ghosts of the dead turtles, and just trying to think if he could have done anything different. And after that, we cut back to April. And April has set up dinner for Michelangelo, and he's like, thanks. And they just kind of try to catch up. And what he finds out is Casey and April had a child, and they named her Casey. So there is a daughter of lineage between Casey Jones and April, and so now she has been learning the ways of the turtle. She had a book from Splinter. She's been learning all different kinds of martial arts, and so she wants to help Mikey get revenge on on his family. And so that's kind of how the book goes. It's just like he's getting ready to go again, try to attack again the Foot Clan and the great-great-grandson of Shredder in this book. And so it's him finding out that he has more allies than he really realizes, and that he doesn't have to do it alone. The crazy thing about this book, and I'm going to need Ron to confirm with me. So this story was originally like a draft that never got published by the original guys that wrote Ninja Turtles, right?
Okay.
So at one point, Casey is being told a story by Michelangelo of like what he did when after his brothers died. And so like here's the artwork, right? Like this is the artwork of the book. You know, it's modern, it's gritty, but it's really good looking, right? Mm-hmm. When he tells the story of what he did after his brothers died and he retreated, we cut to, I think, is original artwork from the story that they inserted into the book.
Oh, shit.
So it looks like original turtle artwork.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm almost certain this is like the original artwork that they were going to use before they didn't tell the story.
Right.
So really cool storytelling tool of showing what the story was going to be and what the story is now, and like the finished written story of this book. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the book ends with Casey basically saying like, you don't have a choice. I'm going to help you get your revenge. And Mikey's like, yeah, okay, I guess. Like, I can't stop you. Then we cut to April. Now, this is where I just don't know my turtle lore as well as I should. She, you know, while they're having their discussions, she sees a safe that she has, and she pulls out a robot head that apparently is an android that was in the older original comics. I have no idea the significance of that, but it's supposedly supposed to be the big twist of this book. Either way, just because I don't know that stuff, this book is... I never read the original Turtle comic books. I only watched the cartoon when I was a kid, and I had the toys, and I played the arcade game like you did, Nate.
Yep.
And that's my experience with the Turtles is the Nickelodeon version of the Turtles. This is what the original comic book used to be like. It was gory, it was bloody, it wasn't made for kids.
Yeah.
And this is definitely achieving that. I'm really digging it. I'm just digging the shit out of it. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I'm glad I picked it up because it's not only is it a fun story, but these are, you know, a hot commodity right now. And so if I ever decide to sell it, I'm sure I'd make it good coin.
Nice. So is each issue $9?
Yeah.
So it's like super thick.
It's super thick, and it's a nice. It's like a trade material.
Is it like premium format, like larger than a traditional?
Yeah, it's like
book?
magazine.
Okay, gotcha.
Because like the other one is like that too. Like it's the same. It's actually a little thicker.
Throw a regular comic book on top of that, so I can get a.
Here's our next book that we're going to talk about.
Okay, yeah. Totally.
So it's cool. That's why this book is why my pull was so expensive.
Yeah, just this one book, huh?
Well, no, obviously I picked up another book that we're about to talk about, but yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and it, for me, like I said, it kind of reevaluates how I view the Turtles because it's really fucking violent. Like it's not made for kids. Like it's an adult turtle story.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, our last book. Haha, number 2.
Talk about a book not for kids.
Holy shit, dude! This was the last book I read.
Me too.
The last issue was pretty dark and sadistic, but kind of psychedelic.
Yep.
And this one was like really real. Like,
this is just depressing.
Yes, very much so. Let's tag team it.
So the first one had I think psychedelic is a perfect way to put it. Like, there was an element to it that felt surreal. Like a guy, like, we have multiple panels of the bullet traveling through this guy's brain, and like he's still a stand up. Like, it almost feels not natural world.
Right.
Whereas, like, everything in this book is just all very real.
Like, uncomfortably real.
Yes. This is basically the story of a woman who is, basically in a burlesque but / freak show.
Right.
Hybrid
strip club.
Yeah.
Kinky shit.
Yeah, but it's like the girl that goes on before her is a woman with 40-inch fingernails. Like,
yeah.
There's definitely a freak show element to it.
And then there's a guy, like, after her show's over, is like, scratch my back, scratch my front. And she's like, you don't make enough money for me to do that.
Yeah.
It was weird.
And it's basically her telling, like, how she ended up here. Her life story about when she was 12 years old and her mom, who was clinically insane, who was having a psychotic break, essentially kidnaps her and takes her on a cross-country road trip to go find this place called Funville, where they're going to start a new life.
And Funville was the park that the previous clown worked at, right?
I meant to check that and I forgot, but I believe it is.
Yeah. And so on this road trip, the entire time, the mom has clown makeup on.
The entire time.
And I don't think it's even explained why. Like, it's just, I think that might have been her mantra at the club. I don't know if she worked at the club. I think she did. But she continuously wears her makeup, and there's multiple times in the issue where you're like, oh, that's why she's wearing it, because it's just a kinky thing, right? Or oh, that's why she's wearing it because she's trying to make money for this road trip, so she's like performing sex acts with other people to like get gas money. And so, one of the guys beats the shit out of her, so she's got bruises on her face. So yeah, that's why she's wearing the clown makeup. No, I don't think that's it either. And so they're, like Nate said, like, they're going on this road trip to get to Funville, and every time they have to stop, they have to, she has to be a lady of the night and perform sexual acts so that she can get money for their trip. And so the last stop they make, the guy wants to go to their room. And so she tells her daughter, like, hey, go into this closet, don't come out, no matter what, everything's going to be fine.
Close your eyes, close your ears.
Close your ears, yeah. And so she, her daughter goes in there, and the whole time we're getting our present version of the daughter narrating the story, and she's just, you can tell in the writing she's devastated. She's just, this clearly, and I think it would for anybody, would totally change a person. And to be 12 years old seeing and witnessing this stuff is really freaky. But there's other moments where, like, they have genuine mother-daughter moments. Like, there's one point where the daughter's like, hey, can we get fireworks to create flowers in the sky? And she's like, no, we've got to save every penny that we have to get across country so that we can get to Funsville so we can change our lives. And then later on, the mom kind of breaks down and ends up getting the fireworks, and they have this really, like, feel good moment of, like, creating these flowers in the sky with fireworks. So cut back to the other night, and she's, doing her thing, and the daughter watches, and she's pissed. She's like, because the guy's being rough. This isn't, your standard or typical thing. He's
choking her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she runs out of the closet with a razor, and she's like, don't, get off my mother or I'll fucking kill you. I'll slit your throat. And the guy's like, is this a bit? Like, what is this? And to the point where he gets upset and physically hits the 12-year-old across the face, and the mom snaps. And I think rightfully so.
Of course.
And so she starts choking him, and she loses her shit. She's like, don't you ever fucking touch my daughter again. No one touches my daughter. And she chokes the dude out and kills him. And so we see like this sadistic look on her face of like oh shit, it just hit the fan. And so they leave, and they finally get to Farmsville, or not Farmsville, whoops, Funsville. And what we remember from the issue 1 is it's closed. They shut it down.
Yep.
And she's absolutely devastated. And she's just talking to herself, and then the daughter narrates that they clearly arrested her for killing the dude, and life continues, and now she is part of this burlesque strip club where she has the same makeup on, and she is now the clown dancer at the bit. And yeah, it was very depressing. It was well written, though, I will say that. Like,
yeah,
it complete tonal shift from issue 1.
Yeah, it was a very different tonal shift. And honestly, like, there was so much going on here, I think, in subtleties that I'm gonna reread it again eventually, but there's only so many times. I read it twice just to make sure I kind of got it. It was just like it's really heavy. Because really, I was like, maybe there's an underlying narrative here that of a lesson essentially to get out of this. And right now, I think it just Maxwell Prince was like, sometimes fucking shit happens, man. Like, the last thing that we leave off on this book is she says a brand new life. She says it's a nice idea, right? Starting over, a brand new life in a brand new place. But here's the God's honest truth: there is no such luxury. Who you are, the real you, it follows you wherever you go. You can try to hide it, but it will always shine through.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, shit. Okay.
Yeah, that,
like,
I opened the show with like this week's books were just like, whoa, and then to end on that, you're like, oh, that's heavy. That being said, there's clearly some kind of connection to the theme park. Like when they get to the theme park, the little girl sees a doll that looks exactly like the clown that was in the first issue. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they even called back to him, like the amazing the handkerchief being the handkerchief trick where he continuously.
Oh yeah.
Didn't they call back? I feel like they called back to it in the issue.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I don't know where that was at, but the mother may have even mentioned it. Like, you'll get to see this at the park. Mm-hmm. So there's something connecting them. Yeah, outside of the whole like everyone's a clown, there's something connecting this haha universe with this Funsville theme park, and so I think we're gonna continue to see those themes in this book. But yeah, dude, this was a heavy issue. Like, I wasn't expecting to see where it went.
If you're into those like sort of like cerebral, depressing movies like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind or some of the Wes Anderson stuff, like, this book will be very much up your alley.
Yep. All right, well, that's haha number 2. I've seen some of the solicitations for 3 and 4, and it's got me intrigued. So I think I'm going to continue to pick up this book just because it's a 5-parter, I believe.
Yeah.
So I'm going to continue going with it. Again,
will
depressing, but the fact that it's written so well is probably why I'm going to continue to pick it up. All right, so technically this is our last book, but what we are going to talk about next is the book that we didn't talk about, which was previewed in King of Black number 4, and that is Demon Days X-Men by Peach Momoko. Dude, I know that when this was initially released, a lot of people were like, yo, this is gonna. Huh? You were skeptical of it?
I was like, I don't know. Like, I was like, I'll check it out because it's a Momoko written book, and I think that's neat. But I was like, I don't think this will be anything that I'm super excited about. And I was wrong. I was very wrong.
Yeah, this was. I almost didn't read it, and not because I didn't want to read it. I almost didn't read it because I want to be like 100% on the issue when it comes out. Mm-hmm. And which I believe is March 3rd, so it's right around the corner. Mm-hmm. But I just, at the end of the day, I was like, I think I literally read it after haha, because Haha was so depressing. I was like, fuck it, I'll read it because I need to get back up on that high of this week. And dude, you're right. This didn't disappoint. We only get, I think, 4 pages or 3 pages, I think.
6.
6. Wow. Well, it shows how much I really paid attention, but I did because it was that good. What I like about this, and we're just gonna talk about it a little bit. We're not gonna give away everything because I think you need to go out and just pick it up. Highly recommend it. But what I like about this is how Peach is reworking characters to fit the narrative of feudal Japan.
Oh yeah.
And so, well, I'll give this little thing. She's accompanied. How do you say this word?
Accompanied.
I can't talk tonight. She's accompanied by a certain canine. And I was like, oh, cool. She's got
that straight out. So.
A what?
I said I was going to spoil that straight out. So I'm glad you said something.
Okay, so she's accompanied by a canine, a wolf, and she's named the wolf Logan. And I was like, fuck yeah! Like, not everyone's just going to be a samurai, because I think it's too easy to make Logan a samurai in Demon Days X-Men. Yep. That's the easy play. And so Peach wrote Wolverine as a companion to Psylocke as a wolf, and it's so badass. And then I think we get Juggernaut in this book, and we get Emma Frost in this book. Yep. And I know people are going to dog it because it's her, it's more manga style. But dude, the colors in this book, the watercoloring in this book, the expressions in this book, it reminds me of classic manga, which I grew up reading. And she just did a great job. Like, I know that she only speaks Japanese, but the translation to English, I think, worked out flawlessly.
Yeah, it did really well.
I'm super excited about this. I think it's gonna be a great book. I think we're in for a good time.
I am also excited and you're gonna get upset about this.
Okay.
But I am excited for a manga style story artwork that I can read like a goddamn American from left to right and not back to front.
Shut up.
And it's in color. I don't know why most manga aren't in color.
Because, all right, you want to know why? Okay, now we're getting into a history lesson here, folks.
Oh boy.
So the reason why manga isn't colored is because the way manga. So we get a story. So let's say Venom, right? We get a Venom issue every month, right? Manga is released every week. A new chapter is released every week. Okay. And so the turnaround, the manga industry, the turnaround it's super fast. They don't have time to color. They don't have colorists. So the artists are they're making it, sending it to the person to write in the dialogue, go print. And the other thing is manga artists are not paid well. It's not a profession to be to make money if you're working for any of the popular publications in the magazine industry. Unless you're Taito, the guy that did Bleach, or people that did Dragon Ball, like they've made it. Their titles are so good, so that they're making the money. But normal manga is produced so quickly that it's not colored. It's just not colored because it's the turnaround and press time to get it out to, it's not digital. I mean, they do digital now, right. But Japan is still very, just like we are with how we consume our books. But we're kind of in the minority now of picking up physical books. Like most people are moving to digital. In Japan, they've still continued. The big mainstream is physical copies. And so they don't color their books because the turnaround is so quick, and you have to have a new chapter every week quickly.
Sounds like we need to revolutionize the manga industry.
Well, look, man, Japan is very immersed in their traditions, and
yeah.
But hey, look, like you said, you get Peach Momoko.
That's right.
She's doing her thing, and Marvel has given her the time to do that. And I really hope that this allows Peach Momoko to flourish, and hopefully this will give her more confidence to do more stories, because I hope she does more. Like I hope Marvel gives Marvel more opportunities for her to do her own books or be put on a series. Maybe not write it, but be the one to actually do the artwork for the series. And I know, you know, we're gonna put this up on YouTube, and I pray to God we get somebody that's like, I fucking hate Peach Momoko. I pray, because I want us to roast that person in the comments. She does not deserve nearly half the shit that she gets for her artwork style. It's just a bunch of comic gators that just want to dog it because they don't get it, or they don't. Well, let me rephrase. It's not that they don't get it. They don't try to understand. They just don't. Like, they're stuck in their own ways. So, eat a bag of dicks. Sorry, I went on a rant, but
yes, that's true.
How is this a 5-parter too, or like a 4-parter?
I have no idea.
I think it's definitely multiple books, and I'm putting all of them in Mylars. Damn it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So that is the show. You know, we were gonna do a comic book haul video last week, but weather happened, and so we weren't. You know, but we're gonna try really hard to do a comic book haul video here, not here on Twitch, but on YouTube. More YouTube exclusive content. So go over to Two Fat Guys Pool List on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe. You're gonna get. We did a Marvel solicitations video last night, so I gotta get to work on that tomorrow and edit it and get it onto YouTube. So there's gonna be more exclusive content on our YouTube page. We're still gonna have our live stream here, and you can still catch full episodes and cut up segments over on our YouTube page and here on Twitch. But we are doing more. We're trying to do more exclusive content on YouTube. So keep an eye out for that. If you're not following us over there or subscribe to us, please make sure to go over there, subscribe, hit that bell. And then we are on all of our other social platforms. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're on all of it, baby. At some point, like I joke about it, but at one point we will be on TikTok. I will make that happen. You know, if you want to see Nate do the next trending dance, it's gonna happen.
No.
Either way, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with us. It was a long episode, but hey, we love it. And like I said, keep an eye out for a haul video sometime in the middle of, you know, at least by Wednesday of next week, telling you what we're going to be talking about in next episode, which is episode 30. So, yeah, thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Always wear a mask. Go buy some comics, read, and also shout out to Ron at Collected. He's the guy that powers our show. His store powers our show. So make sure to hit him up. And also, we got that mystery pool. Go to brainycomics.com if you want to get an exclusive. You can win yourself that Venom #9 first appearance of Dylan Brock. It's
I need that myself.
Right. And hey, Nate might sign up for it. You know, he's got a chance. So think about it.
That's right.
Either way, guys, we'll see you guys next Friday, and be safe out there, guys. Later.
Peace.